Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, we have the continuation of the confession from our very sister Mercy, who did share with us how she lost her babies. In our previous episode she told us that she had lost her first pregnancy through miscarriage and had to be rushed to the hospital after she had a dream. And the fact that her husband who is rich had to become mad after certain directions were done for her by a prophet.
This man was telling me things about my life that no one has ever done so. He continued that, Michael didn't just live my life. My husband made him live by performing some rituals when he first met me. He told me about the business that my husband owns. And he went further to say that, those businesses are just a cover-up to the real source of his money. He revealed to me exactly how I met my husband. He then told me that, the reason why he is telling me all these things is to make me understand that, whatever he is about to tell me is the ultimate truth. He said that, my husband owns a house that in the said house, he does a lot of rituals. And it is out of those rituals that he makes his money, and not from the work that everyone knows he does. He said, it wasn't me that he wanted to marry. But then, the lady that he wanted to marry had a pastor who revealed to her about the secrets of the man. And that lady at the 9th hour decided she was not going to continue to go ahead with the marriage. Because they had made plans and bought all their wedding dresses and everything. That was when he met me. And so, he told me that, the miscarriage and the death of this child, my husband is behind it all. He said he uses their blood for sacrifices which fetches him money.
But before we go into what we have for this episode, I would love to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your support. Please do share our videos so that others can benefit from hearing some of these stories in order for them to also learn from some of these confessions. Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Thank you and let's get into what we have for today.
When the doctor caught me in the dream, I felt a very sharp pain in my physical body and I shouted. It was around 12 a.m. and my husband was still not at home. I woke up from my sleep and my shout woke my sister, who rushed into my room. Blood was just coming from my private part. I asked her to pick my phone and call my husband. He said my sister should make sure I go to the hospital and that he will meet us there. Because for him to come all the way to the house before he would take me to the hospital is not a good idea. My sister does not know how to drive. So, I had to drive to the hospital myself in the midst of the pain and blood. I honestly do not know how I managed to drive to the hospital. Because, I didn't get to see anything again. I didn't know what went on. I woke up on my hospital bed and my husband and sister were by my side. I felt this pain in my abdomen. That was when I realized I had been caught. I started crying and asking them what the problem is. My husband told me that they realized my baby had died in my stomach and had to cut me to remove the baby in order to save me. I asked where the baby was and he told me that he had to go and bury the baby since I was off. And even if I was still conscious, there was no way he would have allowed me to see the child. Because it was going to have a toll on me. I didn't even know whether the pain was as a result of the cut or the child. I was really having it. I didn't understand any of the things that were happening to me. In just a period of 1 to 2 years, I had lost 2 pregnancies. When the time was right for me to come home, I didn't want to see anyone in the house. I wanted to be all by myself alone in the room. It was almost getting to a week and I had not taken anything in. My sister and husband were getting worried and so they asked my mother to stay and make sure I come around and start to eat something. This was when my mother had come to see what was happening to me. My husband on the other hand was also buying stuffs to make me happy. But whatever he tried, didn't work. The thought of losing 2 pregnancies nearly made me went mad. I remember I was told that I nearly lost it. I started laughing and saying things that didn't make sense to any of my relatives. So they had to first call doctors to come and check to see what was happening. I was told that, the doctor said, it is nothing that is causing what I was experiencing, but rather, the shock of the loss is what is making me exhibit that. So, he was coming to inject it with some medicines that was supposed to help me. But then, my mother didn't wait and called for one prophet who she knew was powerful to come and also try his hands on my situation. I don't know whether it was the doctor or pastor that helped me regain my sanity. Because they said that, when the prophet came, he told the doctor not to stop administering the medication. Because, his work as the prophet is more spiritual, and we will need the doctor to also work on my physical side. When I regained my sanity, the prophet told my mother alone that, there is more to what I am experiencing than what we think. And so, he told my mother to ask me to find time and come to his prayer grounds. When my mother told me what the prophet had told her, at first, I didn't want to give in to anything that anyone was telling me. Honestly, I wasn't ready for any information that might bring back the pains I was feeling before. That was why I didn't want to give in to what my mother was telling me. Until one day when I decided to take a walk in our neighborhood. When I stepped out, I started feeling as if I was going to someone's funeral. Honestly, brother, I don't know how to describe this for you to totally understand me. It was like, I would take some few steps and start to feel as if I am going for a funeral. The feeling and the atmosphere for me was just like I was going for a funeral. I didn't understand it. So, I rushed back home and called my mother. I called her and told her I wanted to go and see the prophet. She agreed to what I said. To her, she thought I was going because of what the prophet had said. But I was rather going there because of what I started seeing. I told my husband I wanted to change environments for some few days. He said if I want, he can fly me and my sister to go on vacations outside of the country. But I told him I didn't want any expensive trip. I just wanted to be with my mother for that few days. He agreed to it. But the main reason I didn't tell him about what I was seeing and my decision to go and see the prophet was because I felt for him. I was feeling I was giving him problems since he married me. And so, I didn't want to bring another issue into what we already have. I just wanted to go and see the prophet and if he can do anything to help me stop feeling that way. I went to my mother's place and the next morning we went to see this prophet. The main reason why I went to see him was not what he started to talk about. To me, I wanted help from what I was feeling. And so, whatever he was talking about didn't mean anything to me. Until he started mentioning some names that are familiar with me. When called out if the name Ahenken means anything to me, I was wild and wanted to hear more. I told him that was the name I and my husband had decided to name our son. He laughed and asked my mother to get him some water from where he showed her. When she returned with the water, this man poured the water on the ground and put his palm in the water that he had poured on the ground. He was quiet for a while, and when he raised his head, there were tears all over his eyes. He told me straightforward that I shouldn't have married my husband. He said he was not there to cause for any divorce. But from what he is seeing, my husband is not someone that I should have married. I was more confused here. So, I asked him why he is saying I shouldn't have married my husband. He now started by telling me that, when I had completed school, there was someone in my life who I knew as a very close friend. And that person was a guy. He said that I shouldn't be confused about the guy because he used to come with me to the house and my mother used to say that he was a son that she couldn't give birth to. I now realized he was talking about my friend Michael. He asked me to give him an answer why Michael stopped talking to me, and ever since I got married, I had not set eyes on him. I didn't know why he stopped talking to me. I begged him to tell me if there was something that I had done to him so I can apologize, but he didn't give me any answers. He just disappeared from my life. This man was telling me things about my life that no one has ever done so. He continued that Michael didn't just live my life. My husband made him live by performing some rituals when he first met me. He told me about the business that my husband owns. And he went further to say that those businesses are just a cover-up to the real source of his money. He revealed to me exactly how I met my husband. He then told me that the reason why he is telling me all these things is to make me understand that whatever he is about to tell me is the ultimate truth. He said that my husband owns a house, that in the said house, he does a lot of rituals. And it is out of those rituals that he makes his money, and not from the work that everyone knows he does. He said it wasn't me that he wanted to marry. But then, the lady that he wanted to marry had a pastor who revealed to her about the secrets of the man. And that lady at the 9th hour decided she was not going to continue to go ahead with the marriage. Because they had made plans and bought all their wedding dresses and everything. That was when he met me. And so, he told me that the miscarriage and the death of this child, my husband is behind it all. He said he uses their blood for sacrifices, which fetches him money. So, all the money that I am enjoying is as a result of blood sacrifice. After everything that he told me, I told him about what I have been feeling, and he said, my husband is about to make a very huge sacrifice. And if care is not taken, it will be me. My spirit has already seen it, and so, it is my spirit's own way of telling me of what is ahead of me. He gave me directions and asked me to bath certain leaves for 7 days before if I will return to my husband. After I had finished with everything that the prophet told me, he said that, the day that I will go to my husband's house, I shouldn't talk to anyone. Not even my mother and sister. The first person I should talk to should be my husband. And when I see my husband and speaks to him, he wouldn't be able to hold on to the power that will come with my voice. He will ask where I went to. The moment he asks that, I should know that I have been set free. He said, whatever happens after that, I should pack my things and leave that house. So, in that early morning, I drove to my husband's house. When I saw him and greeted him, he asked me where I went to. As if he didn't know I visited my mother. I told him, but I told you I wanted to visit my mother for some few days. He said, yes, but where did you go? I don't know where I got that courage. I told him that I went to liberate myself from your wicked and evil rituals against my life. I walked out on him straight to the bedroom. I started packing my things. When I finished, I called the houseboy to come and help me out. He started shouting towards my room. He came and told me that my husband is behaving strangely in the compound. I asked him to help me with the bags into the car. I went out to see my husband tearing all his clothes as he starts to mention names which included that of Ahenken. It was like he was begging people who were not real to forgive him. I called his parents to come to the house because something bad is happening to their son. I left the house straight to my mother's place. When I got to my mother's place, it was as if some heavy burden had been lifted off me. I later went to the prophet for other directions to completely cleanse me from all the negative things around me. I rented an apartment close to my mother's place and have started some small business of my own, which is going on well. This is how I was able to be freed from all these evil plans on my life and the evil clutches of my husband. My sisters out there, please, let us be careful, and not just because of the monies we may be enjoying we should close our eyes to some things which are there for us to see. I wish everyone the best of luck in their lives. Thank you.
Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Like I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. I hope we've all learned something important from the story. In our quest to make it in life in our various workplaces, please let's be mindful of the choices that we make, because it can either make or unmake you in a long run. Please let us be more vigilant and careful about the kind of things we get ourselves involved with. Sometimes, when we do get involved in some of these marriages, we need to be very vigilant and take note of so many things. He might be your husband or wife, but there is nothing wrong of being extra careful in your day-to-day activities in and out of the house. As married partners, you should always trust your instincts for a good judgment. It can never lie to you. Thank you, and kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share. Thank you for listening to this episode. Watch out for the next episode, and you can also watch other interesting and intriguing confessions we have on the channel.